Let's start today with a trivia question. Who do you think the most popular Democratic governor in the country is? So you might say Gavin Newsom in California, or you might say Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, or you might pick someone random who's the Wes Moore in Maryland because he's the mayor of a very Democratic state. You'd be wrong, because the most popular governor, Democratic governor in the country is a guy named Andy Beshear. Now, you probably haven't heard of Andy Beshear, but not only is he the most popular Democratic governor in the country, he's the most popular Democratic governor in the country, and he is the governor of Kentucky, a state that Donald Trump won by almost 30 points in 2024. So I want to talk about Andy Beshear because I don't think enough people are talking about Andy Beshear as it relates to the 2020 presidential race. And I think he's got a really, really strong case to make if enough people are out there to hear it, and if Democrats are focused on winning in 2028 rather than proving a point in 2028. So before I get into Andy Beshear, let me make a quick pitch to you, which is I hope you subscribe to my channel. Three simple reasons. One, I'm independent. Two, I'm authentic. Three, I'm here every day breaking down the big political stories you need to know, giving you an insider perspective from someone who spent 25 years in mainstream media and is now out on his own. All right, so I hope you subscribe. All right, so who is Andy Beshear? Andy Beshear is a well-known name in Kentucky because his father, Steve Beshear, was a two-term governor in the 2000s. While Steve Beshear was still governor, Andy Beshear, his son, ran to be the attorney general. He won very narrowly. Again, he's a Democrat in Kentucky. They win almost everything narrowly. That was in 2015. In 2019, Beshear, Andy, decided he wanted to run for governor. The sitting governor, a guy named Matt Bevin, was a Republican, very conservative Republican. But again, it's Kentucky. It's a pretty conservative state. Beshear beats Bevin very, very narrowly and becomes the Democratic governor of a very conservative red state. 4 years later, 2023, Republicans make a huge push to try to beat Andy Beshear because he's the Democratic governor of Kentucky. Mitch McConnell pushes his guy, Daniel Cameron, African-American guy who was sort of an heir to the McConnell political fortunes, at least back then, and the McConnell political machine gets all behind Daniel Cameron. Beshear wins. Beshear gets reelected. So you have Steve Beshear, a guy who is a Democrat in a state that Mitch McConnell represents, James Comer in the House represents. I mean, this is not a moderate state. This is not a swing state. This is not North Carolina. It's not even Ohio. Not even close. This is a very Republican state. Again, Donald Trump won with 60% of the vote, more in 2024 in Kentucky. So Beshear is term limited. He's out of office in 2027. He has made no illusion about the fact that he is interested in running for president. He has done a number of things that you do if you're running for president. He was in Davos last month, taking part in a panel with Gretchen Whitmer. He's speaking at all sorts of events, going to early swing states. I mean, he's as open, other than Rahm Emanuel, he is probably the most clear-eyed about, yes, I'm almost certainly running for this thing, although I haven't announced it yet. And yet, if you look at polling or betting markets, Polymarket, for example, you are going to have to really scroll down the page to find Andy Beshear. You're going to find Newsom and Kamala Harris and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg and Gretchen Whitmer and Wes Moore and fill in the blank. Way down at the bottom, you're probably going to find Steve Beshear, 1%, 2%. Why is that? Well, I mean, at least at the moment, it's because he's just not as well known as a lot of those people. At the same time, and this gets to what I really want to talk about, if Democrats believe that Donald Trump, and by extension his vice president, J.D. Vance, represent an existential threat to the country, an existential threat to democracy, that the most important thing is not who they nominate, but that they nominate someone who can beat Vance, in theory, in 2028. It seems to me that Andy Beshear should be getting a much, much harder look. Now, it's early, right? I get it. It's February 2026. It's not February 2027, right? The presidential election, even the primary, is a ways away. At the same time, it just seems when you look at this guy's resume, he has won 3 straight statewide elections as he is not I think tonally he's a moderate centrist Democrat, but he's not he's pro-choice. I mean, like he's not a guy who he vetoed an anti-trans bill when he was governor. On the issues that the liberal base cares about, at least a lot of the cultural issues, he's on their side. Tonally, he is not the guy who's going to come out and, troll Donald Trump on Twitter. But if you want a guy who has a demonstrated record of not just winning in a purple state, but winning in a red state, okay, it seems to me that if you are solving for who can we put on the ballot that will change what people think of the Democratic Party, which I will remind Democrats in case they need reminding, the 2 words that come to mind most often when people are asked what they think of the Democratic Party is weak and woke, okay? Neither of those, you don't need me to tell you, neither of those are a winner in politics. If you want someone who, through his electoral career, has demonstrated an ability to reach voters who are not liberal Democrats. He is not winning because the people who live in the city of Louisville are voting for him. They're voting for him. But you need a lot more people who are not Democrats to vote for you. You need independents and Republicans to vote for you to get elected the governor of Kentucky. If you want someone like that, it seems to me that Andy Beshear, I always say Steve, that's his dad. Andy Beshear is the guy that most fits the bill in terms of being able to change the Democratic Party brand from weak and woke and coastal to tonally more moderate, able to reach out across the political aisle, a demonstrated record of electoral success outside of a state that's already very Democratic, like California, for example. And yet, I'm not sure he's going to get a hard look. Or as hard a look as I think he should. Again, this is a guy, let me go back to where I started. His approval rating in a second term in a state that is way against him in terms of party is 65% approve, 28% disapprove. I think there are 3 Republican governors with better ratings than that. One is Phil Scott in Vermont. I don't know why he's a Republican in Vermont, but he's incredibly popular. Maybe he should run for president. And the other 2 are in North Dakota and Wyoming, Republicans in Republican states. That one makes more sense. But this is the most popular Democratic governor in the country. Why not Andy Beshear? And I'm interested to know the answer, because I would say to people who say he's too moderate, look at his record. And no, I don't work for him. No, I'm not going to vote for him. I'm not that guy. The point is, I just think if Democrats want to win, they need to look at what Andy Beshear is selling, because it has worked in a state that Andy Beshear is not going to carry Kentucky if he's the presidential nominee. Okay. But maybe he can put North Carolina in play. Maybe he can win back Arizona. Maybe he plays well in the Rust Belt, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Maybe he can put a state like North Carolina back. Democrats always lose it narrowly. Maybe he can win it for the first time since Barack Obama in 2008. I just think Democrats need to think differently. They're going to the same candidates over and over, coastal liberals. I think that Andy Beshear deserves a look. Anyway, you don't get elected twice in Kentucky and have a 65% approval rating in your second term unless you're doing something very, very right. As a Democrat. All right, that's it for me. As I always say, I hope you subscribe, independent, authentic, and daily. Those are the things I promise you. I also hope you like and comment on this video. That helps me with the YouTube algorithm and helps us build community. Be an evangelist for me. Tell some people about what I'm doing here and why. And if you are interested, become a member of my paid subscription tier, the Diamond Club. You can just click the membership tab on my channel. It gets you at least 2 more videos than you get in the as just a regular subscriber. If you're a member of the Diamond Club, you get my conversation every single Monday or Tuesday with Chuck Todd, former host of Meet the Press. We do a video podcast. You also get every Friday my Worst Week in Washington video, where I pick the person, place, or thing who had the worst week in Washington. You would also, if you signed up this week, get 2 more conversations, one with former Republican strategist and former Facebook executive Katie Harbath on AI, tech, and politics in the 2026 election, and my monthly conversation with Mike Pesca, of the Gist List. Great reporter, used to work in mainstream media. Love him. We talked about all sorts of stuff. You get both of those. So you get 4 more videos this week if you were a member of the Diamond Club. Check it out. Take care of yourselves and try to take care of someone else too. And don't forget my live chat every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I will be there. I hope you will be too. Take care.